to the number one Bengals Believe podcast. 5-star review. I'm your host, Eddie McDuke, joined as always by Dr. Electric Moji and John the Brain Sheeran and Bridget DHR in Jan Cars.
Yeah.
Nice to have the whole team back, getting healthy.
Yeah.
No rap
Happy
today.
Kwanzaa.
We were trying to get down to
Happy
business.
Kwanzaa to those who celebrate. Happy.
Like, there's
Hanukkah
no more
to
messing
those who
around.
celebrate.
There's no more.
Yeah.
There's
John
no more.
is not rapping. No.
There's no more hanging in these games against lesser teams. You know, there's no more half performances, half good, half bad. No, it's time to get serious. It's time to go for the number one seed. The real reason is because I thought Bridget was going to do one, but it ended up being two not safe for work because she dissed the crap out of Mac Jones. We could not air it on YouTube.
Who?
Sorry, guys.
If anyone knows the Mike Jones song Flossin', there is a lyric, like Mike Jones, much like DJ Khaled, likes to say his own name in his music. And so in Flossin', he's like, Mike Jones, who? Mike Jones. And there was a total opportunity to do a Mac Jones who, and then I ate too many cookies and I didn't do it. So
She sent us the script, and it was just vulgar beyond my comprehension, especially coming from an HR representative. So sorry, Mac Jones.
maybe if we get a couple new Patreons, I'll release it.
I'd like to. I personally would like to hear. Can we get a taste of it though? Could we get a maybe a synopsis, Bridget?
I
Maybe
just gave
a
you
hint,
one.
an
Mac
inkling of
Jones who? That's the only teaser anyone's getting.
Okay.
Here's my thing, John. If you were a Mac Jones,
Yeah.
and you're a chubby little, ugly little, slow,
Short-fingered.
short-fingered,
Spoiled,
useless,
dumb.
spoiled, dumb,
I love that
yeah.
you could be talking about Mac Jones
Inbred.
or Zach Wilson.
uncultured.
His
could
name's
be-
McCorkle.
Okay,
Yeah.
all of these, John.
Yeah.
You are this.
You are a Mac Jones, unfortunately.
Okay, and you want to play a position where you get $50 million a year. You want to hang around. Look, the way the NFL works now, as you know, John, they decide, are you a starter or you're not? If you're a starter, okay, you're going to make minimum, what, $30 million a year.
For QB.
If you're not, you get like nothing. You get $1 million a year, maybe.
Yeah.
That's not enough, I mean, to pay rent.
yeah.
you know.
Not where we are right now.
But here's what I'm saying, John. If you're in that position, okay, you need to last in this league. You need,
Keep your head
this
above
guy,
water.
yeah. And this guy is targeting these defensive players
Yeah.
who have worked hard. They're athletic. They are smarter. They are faster. They are physical. And they're defensive players. They hit people for a living.
Right.
This guy is going to get nailed.
Okay.
He's going to get hit so hard one day.
Counterpoint. And
Yeah.
yet the Patriots were able to walk away with.
Okay, why are we talking
18
about the Patriots?
eh,
John, that was the luckiest
With 18 points.
18 points
I mean,
I've ever seen in
Well,
my
you're
life.
not supposed to, when you're 22 points ahead, you're not supposed to end the game being 4 points ahead.
Okay.
That's just
I don't know why
not
we're talking
how
about this.
being a great
John,
team works.
can we agree
I-
that was the luckiest quote-unquote comeback I've ever
they
seen?
were able to score 18 points. That's what matters.
There was
There's nothing
one of
lucky
them was a
about that
ricochet
fumble
pass.
recovery, man. Nothing lucky about the end of that game. That was
See,
all
that's
effort
one.
from the
Yeah,
defense.
I'm confused, John. They're saying that was a forward pass when he didn't even have the ball. When he was moving his hand forward, there was no ball.
Not even the fumble
What
I
is
was
he
talking
passing?
about.
Was he passing
That's not the
gas?
fumble.
Was it forward passing of his gas? Because that's what looks like Mac Jones is doing most of the time. Looks like he's
He had
passing
his-
gas and he doesn't want people.
John.
He had as much control of that ball like you usually do with the show. None.
Thank you.
And of
Thank
his-
you.
and of his
Thank you
bounce.
for agreeing with me, not so much for disrespecting me.
Yeah.
John, I want to ask you something. I want to ask you something very important because we talked about Mac Jones. We talked about the Patriots and really Joe Burrow outsmarting Bill Belichick in that game.
What?
I mean, he was beautiful. Joe Burrow, I mean, he came out on fire.
You're comparing two unequal things. Joe Burrow is the starting quarterback. Bill Belichick is the head coach.
Yeah.
Actually, if
Joe
there was
Burrow-
great coaching is in coming back with a far inferior team to make it a nail biter
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
fourth
please.
quarter. That's
That
what
Hail
Bill
Mary is the
Belichick
luckiest
did.
thing I've ever
No.
seen. We're going to talk about
Joe
luck. That Hail Mary made
Yeah.
absolutely no
Yeah.
sense. They didn't draw that up. That's not Belichick's greatness.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
So you would like me to believe that the bounce from one receiver to another was an
that was
accident?
John, here's the thing.
That was a.
What
that,
I'm saying, John.
No,
with the-
no.
with the-
John
with-
is
with Joe
so
Burrow
correct.
outsmarting. Yeah.
John is so correct. Like you can't write up. We could have had that as an interception. We go up, we block it, and we just tip it into the hands, unluckily for us, luckily for them, of that other guy to be able to walk right in. Like that is, I mean, that happens what, 1 in 100 times. Maybe.
Trent Irwin's a touchdown machine, and he drops one. That game's over if he catches it. There's no luck on the Bengals side at all in that second half. It was all the Patriots' luck.
Yeah, here's the thing. What I was trying to say with Joe Burrow out smarting with Belichick, John, that ball, okay, that ball was just like a pack of ice. It was like something that we would snack on in the summertime, right? It was just this very hard. You saw Evan McPherson. You saw the other kicker too. They missed a total of like 8 extra points, right? These two kickers. No one misses extra points, right? And Joe Burrow came out. The weather was the coldest when they started the game. And he came out, he was on fire. I mean, he was so accurate. And he was getting to all, like you said, Trent Irwin, all these different people. And, Bill Belichick was throwing everything he had at them. And this is a very good defense. And by the way, the offensive line had like 1 or 2, they had like 2 or 3 slip-ups, right? They gave up the 2 sacks. I think there's a couple other times where there's a little more pressure than we would have liked. They did a pretty good job of holding up, And then I think Bill Belichick, offensively, they have nothing going on. So this was exactly a case of a superior team looking ahead, like we are going to do, to the big Monday night game and taking their foot off the gas just a little bit. In that cold weather, not trying to get hurt. That's what I said. They were maybe not as physical after that 22-0 lead. Yeah.
Well, and you have to remember that 6 of the Patriots' points came from their defense. And going into that game, I think the Patriots' defense and special teams leads the league in defensive and special teams touchdowns. So that's not, you're going to get that. They have a good defense. Their special teams are fine. Mac Jones and that offense only scored 12 points, and 6 or 7, I can't remember where the PATs were missed, but came from like the luckiest tip and catch you've ever seen in football. So I don't think Bill Belichick cooked up something that we just couldn't handle. 2/3 of their points were just luck and talent on a different side of the ball.
Yeah, speaking of luck and talent, John, I want to know what's going on with the Buffalo Bills. That's what I want to know. Because this man...
Well, that's talent.
Yeah, well,
is pure.
John,
Buffalo Bills are pure talent. That's just... Buffalo Bills are arguably the greatest team in the
but
NFL
what
right
makes
now.
the Buffalo Bills a Super Bowl contender, what made them such a trendy place, trendy destination for people like Von Miller and these kind of guys, is Josh Allen, right?
No.
And, John, here's numbers that this guy, this very angry man over here, Nick Wright, is pointing out about Josh Allen. The last 10 weeks, he's been average to below average.
He's been winning games.
Now, these are the counting stats, I know, John. But just to review, to the people listening, he's 26th in pass rating, has the most turnovers with 12. He has the 30th completion percentage, 21st yards per pass, 12th in passing yards per game, and he's 9th in total pass touchdowns. Tied for 9th.
Well, come on. If Burrow had stats like these, and I don't know if he does, and I don't care if he does, no one would.
Burrow's at the top in everything.
Even if he weren't statistically, when you watch the game,
Okay, and how many
do you
Buffalo
remember
Bills games have you watched?
Do you remember back in the Andy Dalton days when people would shove these statistics down our throats to convince us that Andy Dalton was something that he wasn't, which is a quarterback who can win? So
he was never a statistically good quarterback.
Yeah, there were a lot of times when he was a very statistically good quarterback.
One season.
But it doesn't matter because it's about watching when you watch the Buffalo Bills, that's the team that can beat you.
But do you watch the Buffalo Bills?
No.
Yeah. John.
Josh Allen is Professor Chaos. Professor Chaos is a character that appeared in a couple South Park episodes, but I'm just using it as his name. He has 41, according to Pro Football Focused, 41 big-time throws, 29 turnover-worthy throws. Both lead the league. So you're getting literally both sides of the spectrum of good and bad quarterback play, of just quarterback play in general. You will see throws that you've never seen before from a quarterback in the good way, and then also in the bad way. Not necessarily Zach Wilson level of bad decision making, but his arm, like, it might be the best in the league in terms of just pure raw talent, and he just kind of lets that fly regardless of what he's seen down the field sometimes. And it helps when you have two guys in Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis who work perfectly with him. Diggs might be, in my opinion, the most underrated receiver in the league. I think he's easily top 5. And Gabriel Davis and Allen have this connection on these deep post in-breaking routes that is just unstoppable. And it took like at least 2 years before defenses finally cooked up coverages to best defend them. So he has these two elite receivers on the outside and this absolute cannon of an arm. And honestly, he's just a moose. You watch him escape the pocket and he runs like he's a 6'5", 250 middle linebacker with the ball in his hand. And it's really hard to stop him. It's really hard to tackle him. It takes a unique level of defensive communication to contain him in the pocket and then actually corral him before he gains these big time plays.
Yeah, but I mean, John, look, I saw Cam Taylor-Britt had his back turned on that touchdown, right? That one, the shorter touchdown, not the freak touchdown pass against the Patriots. And I've seen it a few times where his awareness is a little bit off. And still, Lou Anarumo is confusing every quarterback these days. He's getting them to make decisions that they regret immediately after. Can he do that against Josh Allen? Yeah.
I think
they
so.
wake up sitting. They wake up sleeping next to Lou Anarumo.
Yeah.
They're like, "What have I done?
Why is he here? Why is Lou Anarumo in my bed?
This
What
guy
is in my day?
he goes the extra mile, John."
Yeah, John.
Anything else?
No.
Well, I mean, really, Lou Anarumo. Look at the guy. Obviously, he's a charmer.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
He's got that quiet
One more?
animal magnetism.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also. Let's be honest. He's fit. That's how he got cast to play the role of the Hulk, John.
We all love Lou Anarumo. I don't think it's that difficult to confuse Josh Allen on some post-snap rotations. You just move some safeties around, you drop back, aiding coverage. I think similar things that you do with Mahomes, you can do to Allen in terms of just slowing down his processing down the field. But sometimes, like that's the thing. Like, you can force Josh Allen to make mistakes if you keep him in the pocket. Once he gets out, though, it doesn't matter how good your coverage is. If all your guys have their backs turned to the ball, then Allen can escape and just rip off these huge runs. Like, I think Devin Singletary and the other running back, his last name is White, I think. Like, they've been, I think, better than advertised. I think Buffalo does have a decent stable of running backs, but for the most part this season, it really has been Allen carrying the run game too. So a lot is on his shoulders to make these plays that defensive coordinators sometimes just throw up their hands like, what else can we do? Like, we can put together the perfect game plan against this guy, but he can fit these throws into these tight windows. I think if any defense coordinator can stop Josh Allen, or at least contain him for as much as possible, it is Lou Anarumo, and that's definitely the biggest storyline of Monday night.
Oh, okay. Counterpoint, John. Now, if the Bengals have a weakness, it.
I don't think they have. Yeah.
So, wouldn't that be the really bad match then, to have a team that can strategically hit you downfield and to have it against playing us when our weakness then is downfield?
He's saying the cornerback position. Sorry, the mic cut out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Corner.
Yeah, I would probably, because again, I think Diggs has a great feel for just his route running and just his feel against certain coverages. And Gabe Davis, like, you don't think this dude is an elite downfield receiver when you see him, and then he starts running and just gets behind guys. So yeah, Von Bell, Jesse Bates need to stay on top of these routes, and Taylor Britt's going to need a really great game. And that's the thing with Taylor Britt. Like, he's been the epitome of a rookie defensive back. He'll make these great plays. So, like, yeah, that's the reason why they traded up for him. And then his back is turned to the ball, and he's still really inconsistent about finding the ball. Like, he had the best play, I think, in coverage of his career so far against New England, and probably the worst when he didn't find the ball in the back of the end zone. So that's Josh Allen. Like, if Allen sees the back of your head, he's going to target him.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering,
and
John,
that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen at least 2 times.
I'm just where do you develop the skill to track the ball or to smell the ball? Do you know what I mean? Like, these players that are good cornerbacks, it seems like they can sense it.
They're born with it. They
John,
are born with that skill. They come
John,
out of the womb,
snout,
they smell the ball. The mom puts the ball in there.
Then why is he saying rookie? No, he's saying when you're a rookie, your sense of a smell for the ball is not there yet.
John.
As you get old, John.
You just throw to the wolves, man. These other wolves, they can smell their prey better than you.
See?
Like, how's it not
John's agreeing with me.
self-explanatory?
John, let me ask you something else. On the other side of the ball, okay? we lose Lyle Collins, who was wildly inconsistent, who is always injured, who, we signed to a very...
Roasting him after he just suffered a serious knee injury? Come on.
Yeah, that's cruel.
I think
Well,
that's
it's kind of proving my
that's
point.
mean.
Proving my point. That is both wildly inconsistent because his knee was different before the injury.
Yeah.
Now it is very different. That's
Yeah.
inconsistent, and he's injured. So those are the both things I'm saying.
It's like
Yeah.
when you buy something from Costco and you drop it. Can you take it back?
Yeah, but can you yell at the person as well? Say, I dropped this, but why did you hand it to me in the way that I wasn't prepared? But John, let me ask you this, okay? When we're talking about the Lyle Collins, and he goes down, and we have Adeniji, and I remember seeing our friend, Angel Face, Parker Blake, Mike Santagada, as people like this talking about the differences between the two. One has a very wide, let us say, base, or, we used to say backside, backside. We used to say one has a wide backside, right?
Yeah.
And one is a little narrow backside.
Yeah.
One is like a this, and one is a power, and one is a push, and one is a, right? They have different styles, but let's just get
You
to the
got baby
bottom.
got back versus baby only got crack. Not much back.
Yeah, showing the crack. But John, here's the thing, okay? If you're paying attention, what does that mean against a team like the Bills? But who do they have on the left side? And is that going to be, because I really feel like the Bengals, no matter, again, against the Patriots, they're getting so much better at mitigating the premier pass rushers by passing them off, or just, like Joe Burrow's moving better. You know what I mean? I feel like the communication is just
Yeah, the
so
O-line has been great.
John, go ahead.
Well, I think not necessarily when it comes to the Bills, but just in general, the Bengals have gotten, like you said, like a decent feel for the strengths and weaknesses of this offensive line. So with Jonah, for example, like the majority of pressure that he allows comes through the inside, right? So Burrow has gotten the sense of when to step out of the pocket, when to break free. Like Jonah has a good sense of where to get beat, right? And he doesn't get beat fast. With Lael, it's been the opposite because Lael, to your point, has not had a ton of explosion out of his stance this year, and guys have been just taking advantage of that by going around the edge, and then therefore, so Burrow has one tackle who gets beat inside a lot, and then another tackle who gets beat outside a lot because he can't handle speed. So it's been a little bit complicated here and there, but they at least have an understanding of where these guys were at this point in the season. Now you take basically the exact opposite of Lyle Collins and then Keem Adeniji, who's a little bit smaller. You're not going to get as much push in the running game, but he's a lot quicker out of his stance. He won't get beat to the outside very much unless you have a really advanced pass rusher with great hand usage that can bend the arc like that. So I think now you have two tackles who kind of lose in the similar manner, and that's an adjustment for Burrow, who's going to have to step outside of the pocket more often now.
Is it, John? Is it with the
was
different?
really
That was
good.
really good.
Let's-
That was really good.
yeah, let's
But what
keep-
I'm saying, so when you say that one is kind of more narrow and one is kind of wider, is this like a personal thing with
Hold up.
offensive
They
line?
both got cake, man. This is their offensive linemen. They're
Yeah.
not brick houses out here. Like,
Okay.
what are we doing?
Okay. I'm just saying is okay, but it's not like a kink that someone has like I like this kind of offensive or that. You know what I mean? It's
rough,
like
I like it tough.
okay. John, here's my
Yikes.
other thing. John, no, please, Bridget. We're trying to be professional here and talk about offensive line. Yeah.
Noted.
Here's my next question, John. Both Burrow turnovers came on miscommunication, and part of that has to do with the fact that they have had receivers and tight ends in and out of the lineup. You agree? I mean, Joe Burrow, and by the way, we have to mention him on the show. The guy we've been rooting for, had another great game. Trenton Irwin, as John mentioned, this was his first touchdown. And then obviously after that, when you do something like that, he celebrates, and that's one of the best parts of his game. But John, he wasn't done there, right? He kept going, and he had, what was it? He had another touchdown. And then finally, John, he had a near third touchdown that we talked about. And I see people say he dropped the
near
ball.
touchdown. You're going to celebrate that.
Well, look at how deep he gets. Look at how he beat the coverage. I feel like as much as I feel like maybe the touch on the ball was a little off. You think that was a drop or what?
Hit him in the hands, man.
Okay,
Hit
so
him
it's a drop.
any shorter
Okay,
than that,
the
you get
point
an
is this:
interception.
he's being used as a real weapon now. A guy catches 2 touchdowns, and you're still, you know what I mean? He's still over the top, gonna get a third touchdown. He's a real weapon now. Jamar Chase, obviously, T. Higgins had a great game. Yeah.
That first touchdown was awesome, though, because
Yeah.
the Patriots ran a ton of cover 2 in this game, and you can see both safeties kind of favoring the silence because that's where T. Higgins and Jamar Chase was, and then Irwin just ran a seam route right up the middle.
Yeah.
In that giant, the Red Sea in the secondary was parted, and he was wide open there. So, it's great to have that guy that understands where to be. He's got chemistry and communication down with Burrow, and he's also being a beneficiary of coverage being drawn away from him.
Yeah.
much
So
so.
I want to ask
okay,
a
go ahead.
question here.
Bridget.
Because we're going to be dealing, obviously, with the O-line change with Adeniji coming in for Collins. And Burrow's going to have to adjust to that. But we, over the last, 7 weeks or so, have seen a much more consistent offense. Granted, we didn't see it as consistently in the second half of this last game, but like I said, Pat's had a lot of luck on their side. So weeks 4, 5, 6, whatever it was, we're talking about this offense is really predictable. Zach Taylor's not a good play caller. We haven't really stopped to talk about what has changed, what's different. It was literally like all of Twitter, all of social media was like, oh, Zach Taylor can't call plays. He needs to turn play calling over, this, that. We are not having those conversations, or at least I'm not seeing those. So, John, what do you think has changed? What's redirected the conversation?
I'm going to make a Bills analogy here because we talked about how Josh Allen has a huge part in the run game because he just makes plays off script, right? And he has this arm that there's no coverage, there's no arm angle that he can't have to get the ball down the field. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow can't run the ball like Josh Allen, and he doesn't have that arm. So when you had a run game that was as abysmal as the Bengals was in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, and it was so predictable for defenses to key in on that in the pre-snap phase, it just made the offense completely bland, and there was just no creativity. It couldn't get out of its own way. So once they got the run game to at least a competent level, then defenses weren't able to key in on them. They had to, keep guys back in the secondary, and then you had to find ways to create yards after catch underneath some of these coverages. Once the Bengals were able to do that with getting Mixon out of the backfield and just having decent blocking and a decent scheme, then you could start opening up the passing game more. And of course, the offensive line got better as the year went on. They haven't been allowing as many sacks. Burrow has been avoiding more sacks compared to earlier on in the season. I believe his sack to pressure rate is still 14% in these past 70 weeks, which is a really good number, especially for him. So it's a bunch of other things that all coincide with this offense is now finally in sync. There's no predictability necessarily, but they still have these staples in the offense, right? They still love to attack underneath in the coverages. And whenever they see a one-on-one on the outside, like we saw Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, whenever he saw that one-on-one, especially in that mismatch, he's going to go deep. He's not afraid to do that. So now defenses have to stay on their toes because they can't key in on one single thing anymore.
Well, and that's a great point, John. I would also add, as the only QB coach, former QB coach in the room, that what you're really seeing here is that in the NFL, the preseason matters, practice matters. A lot of those bonds, a lot of those, the chemistry that's going to go on in the season is done there. And Burrow really didn't get to have a proper preseason. He came in late. He wasn't really doing much in practice early on in the year, and his year started late. And so I think it makes sense then that a lot of things started to gel later in the year for him. And you're seeing it with Deshaun Watson, by the way. This is a really great quarterback, despicable human being, but a great quarterback who is not really gelling with his offense. He's got the tools himself, Deshaun. But it's not working out because he didn't really. He hasn't been playing the games enough. He hasn't been in the system enough, and it's coming together late. So I think that you're right. I think that the momentum is going to hopefully keep improving, and maybe the Bengals will be better each successive game in the postseason. That's the hope.
Okay, so John, going back to my question, and I showed the Trent on Irwin highlights. So we saw, first of all, Tyler Boyd with his finger. They have to keep putting the bone back in, sticking it in, sticking it out. It's very, obviously, there's a big inconvenience, right? That's like, even with credit cards, we don't like doing that. Now we have the tap, right?
Yeah.
He has to do that with his bone every time he wants to play. Is that problem with the finger? Is that, I know he sat on the route and Joe Burrow thought he was going to continue. That means that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Is it because he missed time? Is it because he's physically, the physical part is throwing him off in terms of concentration? I don't want to make too big of a deal, but there's that, and then there's the Joe Burrow one. What I'm saying is Joe Burrow's been throwing to a lot of different people, not just like one or two passes. Like Trenton Irwin is like one of his more important targets now, and the tight end and all this. Is that I think in the end it's going to pay off, personally. I think he's just going to have so many people he can trust, But do you think that's to blame a little bit? Is that
The
a problem?
finger. We're talking about the finger.
The finger, injuries, and then the communication. Is it all kind of missing time and communication?
I'm looking around to try to find where the point of that question was. What do you
Okay, so let's go to the next point.
So the question is the finger really a big deal?
For Burrow or Boyd? Because you were asking about
Boyd.
Yeah, probably. It's still discomforting to him. He's human. He saw that safety, Devin McCourty, just charging down on him. Like, I don't want to take this hit. Sometimes the quarterback puts your receivers in a bad situation, and he didn't finish the route.
Okay, but what I'm saying, so the other part is that is the communication a little bit off between Burrow and the receivers because he's had so many different people in and out?
Maybe.
No.
Probably
Okay.
not.
The next question is this. John. When we talk about, we talked about the La'el Collins injury. You were trying to spread this idea about Andrew Whitworth coming back to save the team.
Yeah.
He was doing
now
that.
can I interrupt here and tell our fans and tell I know Bridget and John are aware of this, but
Even Bridget. Please tell even Bridget. Yeah.
Daddy and I are currently, the reason why we're out and about is that we're currently in Malibu.
Yeah.
Trying to see if we can convince Whit to come back. He's needed on the team. And we've been setting up in a series of meetings with his agent where they just don't show.
Yeah.
We've been to some really great restaurants in the west side of LA. I've been inviting them to hotel lobbies and elsewhere where his agent just will not show up. Now, he never confirmed he was coming.
He's just doing this. He's sitting around pools holding his dogs. That's all he wants to do these days.
The agent, Lord Witt, never confirmed they were coming, but we are sending out the invites and they're not showing up.
Yeah.
I would hold my dog around a pool rather than meeting the two of you in a hotel lobby any day.
And that is why you will never win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's why you never win a Super Bowl. Because we're trying to win Witt and ourselves a Super Bowl.
And let's be honest, the first one didn't really count because the Logan Wilson penalty. So he wants a real Super Bowl.
Unpenalized
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Yeah, but and so we're starting to feel a little bit despondent about the fact that Witt might be joining us again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know.
I mean, well, according to John and according to this article,
It's a done deal.
well, he basically explains here that he's retired, and I feel like John.
This is an article, by the way, that we found.
Yeah.
While
We were hunting.
we were
for it.
we were having some food in a great great little vegan restaurant in Malibu. So
Yeah. So here's the thing, John. Whitworth, he is staying in shape. You could say it like that, or is he staying out of shape so that he could play?
He's maintaining the shape.
the large,
he's maintaining the
round shape that
he's
he needs to roll over defensive linemen. And he's only 47, 48 years old.
And I might point out, he's not just a man with a big body.
Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth is a man with a big head.
Yeah.
And I think that physically speaking, if you want to get into the details, that big head is managing that big body in ways that very few offensive linemen have. He's a smart, in other words, lineman as well. He knows what he's doing. He's strategic with that big old 45-year-old body or whatever it is. Yeah.
So let's try to find a point out of all of this. What I want to ask
Is
John,
Witt coming back, John? Yes or no? Yes or no?
should he come back?
No. Is.
No and
not
no.
should. No and no? Shouldn't and isn't?
Just stay retired, man. Don't put yourself back into this grind. You're 41 years old. You haven't been working out. You've been doing Amazon pregame and postgame coverage. Just take it easy, man. Like, no one's gonna think less of you because you haven't won as many games as Jeff Saturday as an offensive lineman.
But John, look.
So he's not
coming. Hold on.
That shouldn't. What about isn't?
Hold on, John. If you were Whitworth, let me just take his perspective
Let's set
here.
the scene
Let's not
here.
be selfish.
Yeah, let's set the scene
Okay,
here.
you're Whitworth.
Let's cool down.
You played for the Bengals most of your career. Then you have a little stint with the Rams. Okay, I mean, whatever. Maybe you're a little bit on the decline. Maybe you ruined your reputation just a little bit. You go back to the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that drafted you, you played your career with. You finish in an amazing way with an amazing quarterback, a team that's going to go down in history, a team that's going to be the first championship in Cincinnati history, all this kind of stuff. You were drafted by them. You played for them.
Yeah.
You are going to be in the history books. You're going to be the Bengals Ring of Honor.
They'll name
John,
the greatest
those
ice cream
rings,
flavor
they
ever.
don't get those out of those little,
Jack.
those Cracker Jack boxes.
No.
These rings, they get them probably from Walmart, maybe from Target.
Maybe.
These rings are real rings.
Yeah.
They're the Ring of Honor.
Target, premier Target.
And here's the thing. Now you finish your career, a storybook career,
Yeah.
okay?
The prince comes
And
in,
and you
in.
make up with the people of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You are now
Who still
allowed.
love you.
You are now allowed to move back to Cincinnati. Okay,
Yeah, let
you
you
move
back.
back to Cincinnati.
Why are you painting him as the bad guy? He already got his storybook ending. He won the Super Bowl against the team that
that's-
wronged him 5 years ago.
John, that is
Yeah.
a matter of opinion. Whose
John.
story
It's not,
is
it's
the book
fact.
in? Who has written the book of the story?
I feel
My
like-
daddy who writes the book. The storybook is totally different than the book the rest of us are reading.
I feel like John is witsplaining. John is he's
Don't explain with
he's analyst explaining. Like he's looking at it from perspective of his own
Of logic
analytical
and
mind.
reason?
I'm looking at I'm looking at from the perspective of a very large man who is now lost. He is lost in look at those pictures. John, does this man look happy to you? I want to just show you
Yes.
this.
picture. The one
Does this
with-
man look
this
like
is-
he's look at the no
that's
way.
a cry for help. Look
no.
at the foot up in the
Look,
air. That is
look
a
at that.
cry for help.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's rescue me.
Look
help
at this.
me.
Only 3 dogs. Do you know in Cincinnati how many dogs you can
No,
have?
at least
There's
4.
no limit,
At least 4.
John.
Yeah.
There's probably
and by the way,
some kind
standing
of
in front of the
zoning
pool.
limit on that.
Listen, is there a greater symbol for escape than standing in front of the pool?
Yeah, like I want to swim away. If
Help
there is
me,
a way,
help me.
I'm stuck.
Take me back to the dreary
Okay.
skies of Cincinnati, Ohio. That's
None
what
of this
he's
matters
doing.
because the Bengals aren't going to call him, and we know this
Why
because
aren't they
he's
gonna call
not. He's
him?
not
'Cause they'd
playing
have to pay
football.
Oh, they want people who play football. Okay,
Yeah.
that
Wait a
makes
minute,
sense.
because
You
he's the
can't
wrong
just-
tackle.
You
Because
can't
he's the
just
wrong
have
side.
a nice
Is that
blazer
why?
and sweatshirt combination. You have to actually be able to do the job.
John,
Bengals
I
are
want
not
to
going
take
to
you
call
back.
a tackle
Hold on,
out
John.
of retirement
John,
and then move
okay,
their left
I
tackle
wanna-
to right tackle just to appease him.
No,
Now, is that
you
a big
move
change,
Jonah. You
though?
move Jonah to right.
Exactly. They're not
John.
going to move Jonah to the right tackle.
Jonah can't do right tackle. Jonah's
Then you
Jonah's
pay-
lucky. We're lucky
John.
Jonah's doing the left tackle.
John, then you pay him less. The Bengals obviously would do that.
No,
then
he
you
won't
can
do
pay
it. It's
Jonah
not worth it
less.
for him to do it for less.
Okay.
No, here's the question. Is it really a big deal for Witt to go from one tackle to the other side of the tackle? You just flip your tackle.
John, he said in this article, he said, I'm, 6'7", I just stand there or something, right? That's what they do. He's admitting it.
Yeah.
They don't say this to you.
Yeah. He's
They
just a
say it,
big-
they only say it in Malibu, John.
like when
They
you
don't
try-
share it with the people of Cincinnati.
John, you've tried to get in the elevator, right? And there's a big 6'7".
You can't get around them.
400
Doesn't matter if he's on the left or
No,
the right.
Doesn't matter. The door's open and you're like, I'm done. I'm waiting for the next ride.
Here's the thing, John. And I just want to be serious
John,
for a
this is
second.
important. Please.
I just want to be serious for a second. Okay? Is he really good on Amazon Prime? Do you watch Amazon Prime
I
for
don't.
Whitworth? Do you think it's going to last? I've never seen
I
it.
knew-
I'm
Kinda
just
do.
guessing.
He was really good covering that Bengals game.
What? Because he was talking about the Bengals. You see, bring back me to the point. He needs
That's
to go
where he
back to the
belongs.
Bengals,
Yes.
and he needs to cement his legacy.
Yes, he belongs with us. It was
All right.
His legacy is
it's like-
cemented.
It's like that movie with Ethan Hawke where she meets the lady on the train and they made 3 of them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
He
a
needs-
love
yeah.
story that has to end here in Cincinnati.
I would accept the apology personally. I would accept the apology. Look,
He's got nothing to apologize for.
well, he didn't win us a.
He didn't show up.
championship.
He didn't show up at Rootin' Tootin' Bagels, and that at least deserves us. And I'm sorry. I mean, he never confirmed.
Yeah.
But we assumed he was coming.
And with that, I just want to say, oh, we didn't make our predictions. Okay, let's make our
Ooh,
predictions.
Buffalo
yeah.
Bill. How will we do against Buffalo Bill?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, guys. Listen, can we all, the 4 of us, go into these predictions without inflating, without fanning,
Yeah.
without fantasizing, and be honest
Let's
with
be
what
honest.
we think
No,
is going to happen?
no, I can't. I'm sorry.
Because one of the things I
Wait,
haven't liked about
even Bridget can't not fantasize.
the one thing I don't like about
Even
Bengals
Bridget.
Twitter is that it's become this whole thing is who can be more pumped up
Yeah.
and happy and optimistic about the Bengals than the next guy. Listen, a Cincinnati fan has to have a dark side. A Cincinnati fan's we've been through a lot. We're
Yeah.
a person with a chip on our shoulder. If you don't show that chip a little bit, then how long have you been a Bengals fan? So may I go first then?
Yes, please.
I know that in the playoffs, I believe in the playoffs there can't be ties. Is that right? You cannot tie in the playoffs. No tie games. But I actually think this can be a tie game. And
This is not the playoffs.
No, I know. That's what
Oh.
I'm saying. This is pre-playoffs.
Okay.
So I think this can be a tie game, and I think this will be a tie game.
Okay.
And I think it will end with a tie.
And
Because-
Evan McPherson, record-breaking missed field goal.
will miss a
80-yard field goal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the player of the game will be a big question mark in front of a gray box because no one.
They're all going to be equal.
Yes.
Okay.
I think these two teams are so evenly matched. I think these two teams are so. How should we say it's Batman versus Superman?
Yeah.
I think who wins in a Batman versus Superman scenario?
Batman.
Well, when there's a little bit of kryptonite involved, right? So I think, I think it's a tie game.
Bridget.
So I think it's going to be high scoring on both sides. I think each team is going to we're going to go over 30. And it's supposed to be fairly warm, or warm for January.
Yeah, like 59 or something. Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty warm. So I'm going to go Bengals 37, Bills 34. I think it's going to be a walk-off field goal. I think it's going to be reminiscent of the division securing kick Evan McPherson had in week 17 last year. Similar to what we saw in overtime during the AFC Championship. I think after this last game where Money Mac just didn't look, he looked maybe like he had a few pennies as opposed to a few dollars. So I'm going to go 37-34 Bengals, walk-off field goal, and that's going to get Evan McPherson to player of the game for me.
John.
It's just ridiculous to me to count out the Bengals again. They are 19-3 against the spread in their last 22 games. They've won 7 in a row. Just when I think they're about to lose, they somehow make the play to end up winning the game. I think this game is going to be a classic. I think it's got a lot of hype to live up to, but that's what happens when two of the best teams in the game play on the biggest stage. So I think my player of the game is going to be Jamar Chase because I don't think the Bills have the cornerbacks to match up with these receivers. And when that's just the case all across the board, Jamar Chase is still the number one guy, and he's still going to be the guy that gets some of these single coverage opportunities because the Bills just can't double everyone. And T. Higgins is coming off a great game, so the Bills are going to be preparing for him as well. The only issue that I would have is, again, like, how do you limit those big plays from Allen when he just breaks in the pocket, especially without Sam Hubbard because he's so good and contained. So I think Trey Hendrickson is going to have to play more. Hopefully he's more healthy than he was last week. But I think this game is going to be a classic, and I just don't see the logic in picking against the Bengals. So I'm going to go Bills 33, Bengals 31.
Well, I want to say, John, I really appreciated what you said, and I'm starting to be kind of convinced by you. I think the one thing the Bengals could do to win this game is something that my sensei taught me. I was studying an ancient martial art, and he said, when you come out of a fight, come out swinging and punching, get the first hit. It was a very offensive martial art. It was a kind of weird thing. But anyways, come out and get the first hit. If the Bengals come out and score early, as you say, they inundate them with a number of Jamar Chase and I don't know, Irwin kind of like, strikes, and then they bring that score up early. Of course, it'll even out more toward the end, but still, you make them work for it. Maybe they have a good shot. I like that, John. Yeah.
Well, this is it, guys. This is the game. They talked about this being a tough time, Bengals schedule-wise, and by tough, they meant a cakewalk. This 7 straight wins, right? The toughest part of the schedule. They're just walking through it like they're eating cake.
Like they're walking through cake.
Like they're walking. I don't know what that phrase means.
It's like you're walking
I don't know
through
if it's
cake.
when it means you're eating cake as you walk, which is still pretty easy because cake is very easy to digest, or if it means you're walking through a cake, which is very offensive,
No, I
like a
believe it
birthday
refers
cake.
to the bride and the groom little dolls that are on the cake as they walk.
They
through
don't
the
walk the cake. Anyways, it's gonna be easy. It has been a lot easier than they thought, right, John? And here's the thing. This, I think a lot of people said the Chiefs game, but we match up well against them. This has been the game. This has been the game. I think also the Ravens game, but the Ravens don't look like what the people thought they would. This has been the game all along, where we're just going up against the most talented team. you know. And fortunately, Josh Allen is struggling a little bit, but you know they're a powerhouse. They're missing Von Miller. They're still a powerhouse. So really, it's Monday night, you know, and Buffalo Bills fans they've had an affinity for the Bengals, not just because of the let's say the kind of the peaceful arrangement between the leader of the Bills and the leader of the Bengals, the two Goodberry brothers. It's not just because of that. It's also because we got them in the playoffs. What was it, 2016, John? We've traded a lot of our garbage to them, right?
Yeah.
And we've taken some of their garbage. This is what friends do. Sometimes, you help each other throw out the trash. And in terms of, I'm saying players, right? They signed Bodine. They signed a lot of our guys, right? I think maybe even Bobby Hart. So there's been a lot between the Bengals and the Bills. Having said that, how do you stop Josh Allen with a rookie corner, with a guy like Eli Apple, who's kind of really, let's be honest. I mean, I love the guy, but he's capable of giving up some big plays.
Yeah.
So having said that, I am going to say for the first time all year that the Bengals will lose. I think they're going to be losers. And I think the final, I think I'm just saying it very explicitly, very blatantly, so there's no confusion. There's no confusion.
Let's all agree right now that this cannot be interpreted in any other way other than the Bengals.
The Bengals will lose.
outscored.
They will lose. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
They will lose.
Let's confirm that they
are going to be
Daniel
the
is
losers.
predicting a loss for the Cincinnati Bengals. Go ahead.
Okay. Can I continue?
Yeah.
John, are you paying attention?
Oh, I am.
Because I don't want you. Yeah, it's very clear.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay. They will lose, and the final score will be 34-24 Cincinnati.
Okay.
The player of the game will be Jesse Bates. Hold on. Who will have 2 interceptions. Thank you.
Jesse Bates. Well, how now? I guess just like Houdini would perform magic tricks, Daddio has performed a verbal magic trick here. Tell us, oh wise one, how is it that
They're just
you
called
can
lying.
win? How can you win by 10 points and it be a loss? How can they be
Bridget,
losers?
does even Bridget not understand?
I don't, but I would love for you to enlighten
okay.
us.
To be enlightened.
What did I just say? There is an affinity between the Bengals and the Bills, the fan bases. They like each other. So far, it's been like, we're rooting for you, they're rooting for us, blah, blah, blah.
Your
We
loss
both
is my
struggle.
loss, my win is your win.
Okay. After
When you
this
get hurt,
game,
I get
when
feel the
we
pain.
take down their babies, their Super Bowl frontrunner, they finally have the greatest team, they're not going to like us so much. We're going to lose a lot of friends. We're going to lose a lot of supporters. We're going to lose another fan base that adopted us as their second team. How much clearer could I say it? Yeah.
Wow.
I actually like that one. This
That
is the
was-
first one that I'm like, I
That
dig
was
that.
Evil Knievel. He just basically pulled the whole 180, like he just went through the air, broke a
Yeah.
few collarbones, but they were our collarbones. Not
This
his.
means we don't get all the good wings sent to us, though, right?
Exactly.
So
There's
we
so
are-
much we are
yes,
losing.
yes.
We're going to win the game.
No good
but there's other
wings.
stuff we're going to be losing.
Those wings were meant for flying, not for eating.
Yeah. But
Chickens don't fly, but still, they were meant for it.
exactly. Here's the thing, Bridget. If that is all that you have, then we can end the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the Number One Bengals podcast on everywhere that you find your podcast. We're on Believe. We're on YouTube. Don't forget to read John's articles. Don't forget to follow.
Hold on. But
Yeah.
what do they put in the comment section?
Put in the comments what you think the key to this game to stopping Josh Allen will
How
be.
do we stop the Josh?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill.
And yeah, that's all we have. See you next time. So long.
Shviti bye.
Sviti. Pies.